This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted to be joined by promoter Bob Arum over Zoom. Bob, first and foremost, how are you doing?
Very good, very good.
Good
Well,
to.
nervous, but confident that tomorrow will be rid of the idiot who's president of the United States, and we'll get a good president, Joe Biden.
Uh, we'll leave a political talk to one side, Bob, because I'm not obviously, unfortunately, not from your side of the world, so I haven't been keeping up with what's what. But
That's all I can really think about.
Bob, let's obviously move on to some boxing talk. A lot to kind of get through, but let's go back to the show this past weekend. Knowing you once again impressing with his stoppage victory against Jason Maloney. Just reflect on his win for me, Bob.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean, the guy is lightning fast. He knows how to box. He throws unbelievable punches. He has quick, fast hands. And I've never seen a bantamweight with the power that he has. Some old timer like myself said there was once a Mexican bantamweight. I thought maybe Oliveras or somebody like that who had that kind of concussive power. But I've never seen a bantamweight hit as hard as Inoue. But he's the whole package. He's really, really, I mean, he just blew everybody away. And Jason Maloney will beat most bantamweights. He's a tough Aussie. And Inoue handled him quite easily.
I mean, with Inoue, everybody knows about just how strong and powerful he is. Given that he does carry those assets, how many weights do you feel that he'd actually be able to go up in and kind of do what he's doing at bantamweight further up the divisions?
I don't know. I don't know. He seems like he's a pretty big guy for bantamweight, but remember, he started as a flyweight, I think. Yeah, and so I don't know. I don't know. Uh, he has good people with him in Japan, and they know him better than we do, and they'll guide us as to when or if he should go up in weight.
Away from obviously moving up in weight, what is kind of next in your eyes for Naoya Inoue? We know that the Casemiro fight had previously been agreed, and because of COVID, it had to be postponed. Do you think that's a fight which will be revisited now?
Yes, definitely. I mean, Casemiro is a really, he doesn't have the skills that Inoue does, but he's a tremendous puncher for a bantamweight, and that would make a very, very good fight. And another possible fight would be that the winner of Donaire and that French Moroccan kid, who's I think he's the BC champion. Uh, so that fight is going to take place in December. What's his name, Odelby or something like that? Yeah, and that's a good opponent. If it's Donaire, Donaire gave him a hellacious fight in the first fight, so a rematch would be, very popular.
On the card as well, we saw Michaela Meyer defeat Ava Brodnicka to pick up that WBO title. What did you make of her performance, Bob?
She's getting better and better. She's really with terrific boxing guys like Al Mitchell and Coach K, and they don't treat her just like as a woman. They treat her as a boxer, and she is improving her skills every single fight. She's not quite the complete package, but she's getting there. And she told me the woman she wants to fight is this woman Harper, and I'm not an expert on women's boxing. I don't know all the. I mean, I don't know all the champions and contenders, but she apparently people tell me that Michaela and Harper would be a terrific fight.
It would be a good fight indeed, Bob. Terry, promoted by Eddie Hearn. She has to face her mandatory challenger next on November 14th. But provided Terry is victorious, is that a fight between Michaela and Terry you would look to make?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we'd be open to doing it on either side of the Atlantic. I mean, we feel comfortable having our fighters fight in the UK, and the UK fighters like Kell Brook are comfortable coming over here and fighting.
How key do you think it is that you just mentioned you're comfortable having a fighter travel over to the UK and vice versa with UK fighters going over to America, especially in the pandemic currently? How key and important do you feel it is that fighters are willing to do that?
Well, it's difficult. It's difficult. You know, for example, the Japanese have a tremendous difficulty because they can do fights in Japan, but if they bring opponents from outside Japan, there's a mandatory 14-day quarantine, and it's enforced. They check on you. You got to stay practically locked up in a hotel suite. So it's very, very difficult to arrange a fight. Murata, the middleweight champion, was supposed to fight at the end of the year against an American opponent, and they scrubbed it because of that quarantine problem. So I don't know if the UK has a quarantine problem. I don't know how rigorously they enforce it. We don't have a quarantine problem. Kell Brook is over here. He got tested before he left the UK. He will be tested again before he's allowed to go into the bubble, and will be tested a second time at the weigh-in.
Just whilst you're mentioning kind of the precautions, Bob, and the testing and what have you, are you guys kind of, and same with any promoter really around the world, are there like kind of measures in place where, say, if one of the main event fighters was to unfortunately test positive for COVID, there is a backup fighter in place, or is it kind of just hoping that that doesn't come to fruition?
You know, you do a Crawford Brooks fight. How do you even get a backup fighter that you would put in? So we have had situations because we've done 32 fights in the bubble, 32 events, where a main event guy fell out or an opponent for a main event, and we've able to get a substitute, or we've had to postpone the fight, move the semi-main up to the main event. We've had to do that.
Moving on to another thought I want to touch on, Bob. We haven't spoken since Teofimo Lopez's victory over Vasily Lomachenko. Just kind of take me back to that week and that win for Teofimo Lopez. He really kind of established himself as a superstar in the sport now.
Yeah, see, I knew how powerful and how quick Lopez was because he's done all his fights under our promotion. But I never realized how much ring intelligence he had and what a great boxer he was. He showed in the Lomachenko fight that he could handle anybody with his boxing ability. Everybody looked up to that point at Lopez as a slugger, very dangerous because he was very powerful. But he proved in the Lomachenko fight that he had another dimension to his game. And that's going to make him a big star in the years ahead.
We know Vasily Lomachenko's had surgery on his shoulder. Once obviously that's healed up and he's back in training and he's back fit, what is kind of the plan with him moving forwards?
I haven't talked to them. I talked to his manager. We're going to let some time go by. He's not going to be able to start training until mid-January. So we got to, no sense rushing it. I don't like to start engaging in discussions because I want everything to settle down and let everybody figure out what they want to do. That goes for Lopez and goes for Lomachenko as well. So again, we're coming towards the end of the year. Our dance card is filled through the end of January, and we'll go slowly.
Another fight which took place over in the States this past weekend, Bob, I want to get your thoughts on is Gervonta Davis's victory over Leo Santa Cruz. What were your thoughts on that? And I know you don't want to speculate about fights, but is a bout between Gervonta Davis and Teofimo Lopez something that would interest you guys?
Well, Gervonta Lopez I didn't see his performance because Gervonta Davis. I mean, I didn't see his performance because I was
Okay.
in the bubble with the Inoue fight. But apparently it was spectacular. I know Santa Cruz is a really good fighter, and the fact that he knocked them out. And I believe that Gervonta Davis is a top fighter. So down the line, yes, I really believe a Lopez Gervonta Davis fight would be very attractive. And I think Floyd, who manages or promotes Gervonta Davis, uh, agrees that that would be the case. Now, whether it be right away or later next year, that remains to be seen. But certainly, that would be a terrific fight.
Moving forwards, Bob, and obviously onto the heavyweight division, there's a lot to kind of talk about up there. Let's start off with kind of Alexander Usyk. He defeated Derek Chisora this past weekend, and he's the mandatory for Anthony Joshua. Just looking at 2021, we've spoken before about Joshua versus Fury taking place. Because of Alexander being the mandatory, do you think that will hold any issues with regards to about between Fury Joshua?
I don't think so. I think Joshua, first of all, I don't know Joshua beats Pulev. That's the first thing. If he beats Pulev, I don't think Joshua is going to be deterred with the Usyk situation. Like, who cares? Everybody would realize that Joshua and Fury are by far the two leading heavyweights in the world. So I don't think the fight would be diminished if they stripped Joshua of his BO title and Usyk fought Du Bois if he beats Joyce. So, I mean, I like the heavyweight, to be a unified heavyweight champion, but the way these organizations are, that may not be possible. I mean, Usyk, you got to understand, is one of my favorite people. He is very intelligent. He's got a great sense of humor. And I've always liked him. And I know him very well because he's best friends of Lomachenko. So I only want the best for him, even though I have no promotional interest in it for him. But it seems to me, as good a boxer as he is, he's way too small for the heavyweights of today.
You mentioned obviously the potential between Dubois and Usyk if the WBO title was to be not either stripped or if AJ was to vacate. How do you think that fight would play out, Bob? Would you fancy Daniel kind of his natural size to cause him the issues, or would you think Usyk would naturally have too much experience and his ringcraft would pay dividends?
I don't think he's big enough, Usyk, to fight Dubois. And Dubois, I think, is heads and shoulders above Chisora, who gave Usyk a hell of a fight. I mean, Usyk, outboxed him, but never hurt him or anything. If a heavyweight can't hurt his opponent, the chances of him, he can still win, but the window of him winning is very small.
Moving on to something that's become a very big talking point about the video came out on Saturday, Bob. I know you know what I'm going to move on to now. Deontay Wilder coming out and suggesting and accusing Tyson Fury of cheating in their rematch in Las Vegas back in February. Mentioned that he feels that there was something heavy in Tyson's gloves and he was all tampered with and what have you. Just kind of what are your thoughts on Deontay's accusations?
Well, you understand, and we are inured over here in the States to people lying. Donald Trump has taught everybody how to lie and how to use conspiracy theories. This one is preposterous. It's preposterous because it couldn't happen in Las Vegas, because in Las Vegas, in Nevada, the gloves are factory sealed, 4 pairs of gloves. And after the weigh-in, each side picks its main glove and it initials it, and the backup glove. It's an issue. The gloves are then taken by the commission and put in a secure place. Nobody can get there. The night of the fight, an inspector goes into the dressing room of each fighter and gives him the gloves that he is signed for, each fighter. And those gloves are put on over the wraps that have been signed by the fighter in the presence of 2 inspectors. So there is no opportunity for that to happen. I don't know any place else, but I'm telling you, in Nevada, it couldn't happen. So for a fighter to use an excuse like that and say that the gloves were tampered in, if it was any place else, maybe it could be conceivable, but in Nevada, it's absolutely impossible. The fighter has no opportunity to tamper with a glove or put something in. Look, Wilder, something is wrong with Wilder, because in addition to that, he made another statement that somebody put something in his water, and he blamed Mark Breland, who is his trainer, for doing it. Now, is that insane? He's gone insane because his time for doing a Fury fight has expired, and he's out there, and he's got to work his way back into contention like any other fighter.
What did you make of his comments calling Mark Breland a disloyal trainer, Bob?
Well, isn't that terrible? Isn't that terrible? You know Mark Breland. I know Mark Breland. Mark Breland is an exemplary person. He has had a great amateur career, a great professional career. He's an upstanding guy. Why would you call him disloyal? Because he saved your life? You were about to get killed and serious damage. And look, the referee, how's he attacking the referee? I thought the referee sort of was siding with him. You know, it gave him every break in the world.
How much of a surprise was it for you to see that video come out at the time it did, Bob? I imagine that was probably only a few hours before your show started on Saturday. How much of a surprise was it? Because we know Deontay hasn't said anything up until that point.
Well, it's not a surprise, because I'm not surprised by any of it. The adjective is despicable. Any fighter stooping to that, to do it, is despicable, because if anything, he has defamed Tyson Fury, who not only didn't do anything wrong, but couldn't do anything wrong under the circumstances in Nevada. It is despicable. But again, in this country, they're taking lessons from Donald Trump.
Just to stick with Tyson, Bob, we've seen Frank Warren come out today and say that an offer's been made to Kabayel, and ideally within the next 24 hours, the contracts would be signed for them to meet. Can you just kind of confirm that for me and just kind of tell me why Kabayel was the chosen man?
Well, I think it's, on short notice, you had to get a top contender. You look at the WBC top 15, and about 10 of them are not available, because they've either just fought like Usyk, or they just got beat like Cesaro just fought. They're going to be fighting in the next few weeks. So we only had about 5 available, and Ajit is the best of all the 5. Big guy. Tyson wanted a guy who wasn't small, so that knocked out Carlos Takam. Knocked out Oscar Rivas. He wanted a tall guy, getting ready for the supposed Joshua fight. So Agit's going to give him a good test. He has a win over Cesaro, and he's undefeated, and he sees a great opportunity. So it's going to be hopefully the contracts get signed. It'll be a competitive fight. And it'll be shown on BT pay-per-view in the United Kingdom, and in the United States, it'll be on ESPN Plus and on a Saturday afternoon or early evening.
If Kabayel Fury is confirmed, Bob, who do you think has a tougher fight there? Fury versus Kabayel or Joshua versus Pulev?
Well, I'm Pulev's promoter, and I think Pulev's going to beat Joshua. I don't think Agit's going to beat Tyson Fury.
Just moving forward to final thing, Bob. Obviously, we're only about 10 days or so away now from Brooke Crawford. How excited are you to see Terence Crawford back in the ring?
Yeah, well, Terence is a great fighter. You know, he has that ability to go from southpaw to orthodox in the middle of a round, in the middle of a punches. He's the whole package. But Brooke is naturally bigger, and he's been in with great American welterweights like Shane Porter, who he beat, and like Spence, who beat him because Brooks' eye was damaged. Brooks' eye is now 100%, the orbital bone. So I think it's going to be a great fight. I mean, I obviously I favor my guy, Crawford, but Brooks in there with a big chance.
I'm sure you'd have seen it, Bob. Obviously, it makes no difference to you. But what did you kind of make of the interactions between Eddie Hearn and Cal Brook kind of in various interviews about the fact that they haven't worked together in making this fight with Terence?
Well, I don't understand, the politics over there. I mean, I have enough problem with the politics over here. So, we arranged for the fight to be shown on Premier Sports, whether through pay-per-view on Sky or through pay-per-view on Virgin TV, or to sign up as a subscriber for Premier Sports. So I'm happy that UK fans will have an opportunity to see this match, and a really nice match between Andrew Maloney, 115-pound challenging Franco, who beat him. There's a rematch. It should be a good show.
Bob, we'll leave that there now. I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your day. I will catch up with you soon, and thank you for giving up some time to speak to me and Boxing Social.
Okay, good talking to you.